About a month or so ago, I had this crazy urge for whatever reason to build my old childhood house in The Sims. Now, I haven't lived here or even seen this place in about 15 years, which means I'm getting a little too old for my liking. Getting a little too close to 30, which means my life is pretty much half over. I'm just kidding, that's ridiculous, but not as ridiculous as this video might be because my building skills are not the greatest. But honestly, the whole reason I wanted to do this was to improve my building skills, so let's see how good I do. Alright, so I'm going to build in Henford O'Bagley because this, as far as I know, is the most country looking place in The Sims, which I did used to live out in the country. Why does this always happen? I sit down to film and all of my neighbors decide they want to start mowing their yards. Alright, and what is with the terrible weather? Here we go. I had to use the weather machine to make the weather look nice because every time I sit down to play this game, it always just looks like crud. Alright, so we're going to build the house going this way because it's not a huge house, but it's definitely long. Let's get rid of all this clutter. You hear that? You hear that nice loud noise in the background? Nobody's mowed their yards in about a month, and as soon as I turn the camera on, everyone's like, let's get to cutting some grass. All right, so here comes the worst part. Me trying to build the shell, especially since, like I said, I haven't lived here in 15 years, so this is all going to be from memory, and there's also no images of this house anywhere for me to reference, so this is all just coming from right up here, which it's probably going to be bad. I have a pretty good general idea of how things used to look. So now I'll say we do need to save a little bit of space over here because there's a little shed over here. That's obviously just a temporary thing. All right, so I'm going to start with the garage here. So it's like a 3-car garage, which I guess maybe I should grab some cars so I can get a rough estimate of what size the garage needs to be. Okay, I'll hold the car up to my sim so we can get a size estimate. That looks pretty good. Now, you may be wondering why I'm starting with the garage, and that's a good thing to wonder because I really don't know. But just don't worry about it. Okay, so it was a 3-car garage, so it's like that. And it was definitely a little bit wider because I remember you could very easily drive your bikes in between the cars here, which there was one time that I don't know exactly who did it. One of my brothers or I scratched my dad's truck with our bike, like the brake handle on the bike. So yeah, good times. Hopefully he never watches this video. I mean, that would have happened probably 18, 19 years ago, so there's no way I could possibly get in trouble for that now. Hopefully. All right, so it's like this. I'm not going to actually keep 3 cars in here because we didn't have 3 cars. This was just to kind of get an estimate of the size. Okay, so that scale doesn't look too terrible. So then we'll build the front of the house. Honestly, I don't know if I should just build the whole shell and adjust as I go, or if I should focus on one room at a time and then adjust from there. To me, that kind of seems easier because there's a bedroom right here. And I feel like if I started with the garage and I work my way like this way, I might be able to scale it a little bit more accurately. Let's get some light in here so we can see what we're doing. There we go. And then there was like a step right here. So I'm going to have to figure out how to adjust foundations. Oh, this is going to suck. All right, let's put a door here first. Oh, wait, I think I know how to do this. So we can raise this and leave this like ground level. Now we should be able to build a step, right? Perfect. And let's bring the garage out a little bit because I need to put a chest freezer here. Oh, I mean, is there even chest freezers in this game? Probably not. Sure isn't. Is there a way to like flip a fridge on its side? That might be the closest we can get. And we can worry about it later. Okay, so we come in the house and then there would be a closet here, little hallway, and then we'll grab a door and just copy and paste. And of course this is not going to want to cooperate, so we'll have to drag this wall out here, then put a door and then drag it back. Believe that works. Okay, I guess we're gonna have to leave it because the game does not want to cooperate. All right, so then there's a little hallway here, and then there's gonna be a bathroom here. I think that's about right. It's very tempting to decorate as I go because so it's a little easier to figure out the scale of things. Like I might just throw a shower in here for now just so I know how big the walls need to be. So I guess that only needs to be that length. But I guess that's not always accurate because the shower did take up the entire wall, but I don't think I'm gonna be able to fit everything else in here. I mean, I guess it was just a sink and a toilet. It's a pretty simple bathroom. Can't intersect other objects. Just what exactly is it intersecting? All right, so we're gonna have to build it out, I guess, a little bit. I guess we could, would it be too ridiculous? Yeah, I was gonna say we could size up the shower, but that's a little too big. What's the problem with this toilet, huh? Why can't I put it here? All right, well, maybe we'll have to do one of these things where we just put this here in a bathtub. You know what? Actually, screw it. I think I found a better solution. All right, so we finally got the toilet placed down. That was, for whatever reason, the most struggling thing I've had to do so far. But I tell you what, though, this is really still not to scale how I want it to be. I want to be able to fit a shower here and have the toilet right next to the shower. All right, so it works with a bathtub. This might have to do. All right, well, this is how we're gonna have to do it. There should be a shower here, so just pretend like there's one. I'll just throw that there for now. Don't worry, I'm definitely gonna come back and detail things a lot better, but for now, that's good. I'm gonna copy this door here. Perfect. Pretty solid start, and now thinking about it, I can already see the next issue arising because when you come down this hallway, it kind of opens up into like a big open area. But then there's supposed to be like a little mini hallway here that leads to my bedroom. But my bedroom wasn't right next to the garage. It was like right here. So now I'm thinking, so this is the biggest problem I always run into with building is that every time I try to build something to scale, I always just can't figure out how to do that. I suppose I'll make it the way I think it is supposed to be made. So I guess at the end, I'll just have to extend the garage out quite a bit. That might be the solution. All right, let me close this off. And there's no floor. That's a problem. All right, we'll just do it like this. There we go. Okay, so I should just accept the fact that things are always going to be a little bit not to scale because the way that the tiles work in this game are just not accurate to real life. So I'll just keep that in mind whenever I start getting a little too crazy with things not being exactly how I want them to be. All right, so about right here, there's a little hallway, and then this hallway leads to 2 bedrooms. So my bedroom's going to be right here. My brother's is right here. And as far as I remember, they're about the exact same-ish. Like, I remember you walk in and there's going to be a closet here, then my bed, and then my keyboard. So let's just, yeah, this is wildly not to scale. I've already messed up badly. All right, so let's just throw the room together first, and then we'll figure out why I'm being so stupid later. His is kind of a similar setup. All right, so realistically, the garage should come out to about right there. Now, how the heck did that work? All right, so I think realistically, the garage probably came out a little bit like here. Maybe stuck out a little bit more. For a second there, I was thinking that the entire garage stuck out from my room, but I think it was just like maybe half of it. But honestly, this is fine. I don't mind the fact that this is getting kind of crazy with the proportions because this garage was huge. Like, this isn't an exaggeration here, probably. So I'm willing to forgive myself for making an absolute buffoon out of myself on the first attempt at building this. All right, let me think. All right, so this is a hall closet. This is the closet in my brother's room. I don't think that's exactly where that should be because there should be like a dresser here and the closet should be over one more. Like, the closet should be here. You know what? I think this might just have to be good enough. Did he have a weird little corner like that? I don't think so. But you know what? Maybe there was. This was 15 years ago. How am I supposed to remember all this? All right, so I think this is a little more realistic. There's just going to be an empty nothingness right here, so just ignore that. All right, so before I do anything more stupid, let's actually build the whole shell instead of doing whatever the heck I was doing. Bedroom, front door. All right, so this should be like the living room. You know what? Let's just build it all the way out, and then we can adjust it from there. And this was a pretty square house. At least the shell was anyway. So this might actually not be that inaccurate. Man, every house just looks so depressing when you're building it, doesn't it? The shell phase of building is honestly very sad. Like, I'm very tempted to just throw a bunch of windows in here so it stops looking so dang depressing. All right, so there should be an entertainment center here. Honestly, maybe I should have built this in The Sims 2 because the way I remember this house is back when there was like the box TVs. And the entertainment center was one of those ones that could fit the box TV in the middle. All right, there we go. That's pretty dang close. I mean, it's as close as we're gonna get. Oh wait, there actually is old school TVs. Never mind. Get this piece of junk out of here. Hell yeah. I mean, it was bigger than this. The way that they've got this scaled back in this game is a little insulting. You know, it's sad to think that one day there will be a generation of people that have never watched TV on these things. In fact, that generation is probably already out, and they especially don't know what a VHS is. I mean, there's people my age who don't know what a VHS is. Like, are you kidding me? Nothing like wanting to watch a movie, and then you pop it in and it's at the very end of the movie, so then you gotta wait about 5 or 10 minutes to rewind the tape. Anywho, back to business. I don't really know how to explain it. This is just kind of like an open area here. Kitchen's gonna be over here, and I think I might have to be to the point of where I decorate as I go, because I can already tell you this is way too big, but I don't know how to scale it down without building. So let's go ahead and start doing that. So get rid of this. This is gonna be an open hallway. All right, now it's time to put some windows in here, because I think that's gonna be the easiest way for me to get a rough estimate of how scaled things are gonna need to be. Okay, why is it so hard to find a window that actually looks like a real life window? Okay, this isn't accurate, and you can't scale down windows, can you? Or if you can, I don't know how to do it. Like, I don't need all 3 of these. I just need like the 2x2. I'm having trouble finding one that I think is the right size. Like, I might have to do this, but that's gonna look terrible because the shutters. You know what? Heck it. One there, one there. All right, so then there was a dining room table. Is there any of those like oval shaped tables in this game? I feel like there's not. Kind of like that, but I don't want it to look like a freaking Texas Hold'em table. That's a little bit closer, but that's still not very accurate. You know what? This might be good. Oh my word, those windows are huge. I take that back. These are disgusting. These are out of here. Let's do these maybe. Those look a little less crazy. All right, and then we can throw in some counters. I feel like my house had almost a 90s look to it with some of the decorating. I mean, that is when it was built, so that makes sense, right? Maybe these, even though they're kind of dirty looking. It looks pretty close. Maybe one more out here. I promise this is all still very rough right now. I'm just trying to get the house to be to scale, and then we could really start detailing. Right now it just looks like I've never built in my life, and I get that, but I promise it'll eventually start looking good. Maybe. All right, so there's a stove at the end here, and we had a dishwasher here. Oh wait, you have to place it inside a thing. Dishwasher here that was broken and we never fixed, which made doing the dishes super fun. And I know we had a little window here. I guess we'll make it a big window because I don't know how to scale things down. Window wise anyway, I don't know how that works. Then there's going to be a pantry back here. Now honestly, I can't remember if this part stays back here. Nah, I think it stays there because I know there's a bathroom attached to the master bedroom over here. Golly, this looks terrible right now. All right, so here's the front door, right? There would be a long couch here, a giant window. Then there should be like, not quite a love seat, but like a single chair here and here. Let me go ahead and put this wall up because there's a bedroom back here. Here we go. This one's kind of perfect. This looks pretty close to the one I was thinking of. And then something kind of like this was here. I think this is probably going to be as close as we get. And then there was a love seat over here. And I can already tell we're going to need to scrunch this room up a little bit because this is definitely a little too big. And there's a little island here behind this couch, but not your typical type of island. I don't know how I'm going to build it, honestly. Guess we can take these and put them over here. It's kind of hard to explain because they definitely had like a wall behind it, but the wall like opened up. Is there a way to even do that on here? It's very hard to explain. I don't think I'm going to be able to build this in The Sims without doing some sort of glitch because, you know what? I think I might have an idea. Forget the walls. I think what we can do is there was a wall on this side. So this wall goes here. There's a little opening back here. And then there would be like cabinets above here. And then if we delete... No, we can't delete the wall. I thought I could trick it by deleting the wall behind it, but I don't think that's going to work, even though they're attached to the side walls. All right, we might be able to get away with this if we use glass. I mean, that's sort of invisible, right? Okay, so while I was gone, I decided that I'm going to forget about trying to build the shell, and I'm going to decorate as I go, because doing it this way is just... I don't know, it's kind of stressing me out just a little bit, and I think it's just going to be easier for me if I just decorate as I go, and it honestly sounds a little more fun. I don't know what it is, there's just something about building a giant gray box without decorating it that just seems kind of depressing, so I'm going to, I guess I'll start with my room, since that's the most exciting room in this house. Okay, so I think we can shrink this closet down here, and now we can grab a twin-size bed. I actually had a pretty cool bed. I don't think there's going to be one on here that really looks like it. Should I go with this one? And I kind of had this like dresser thing behind my bed. I don't know if I'm going to be able to replicate that. Probably not. Because my mattress sat on like this wooden platform that had drawers like underneath right here and like a headboard behind it. Actually, you know what? I just realized this bed does have drawers on the side of it, so forget everything I was just talking about. This is pretty close. All right, then I had a keyboard over here. All right, and now let's try to find a window. It's one of those ones that slides up. Not quite like this, but you know what? This window looks like the window that was in my brother's room, which his room is bigger than this right now, but I'm just going to throw that there just for reference later. All right, I think this is pretty close to what I was looking for. Like I said, my brother's room is pretty much a mirror of my room. All right, then I had a giant wardrobe in the corner here. None of these really look like it, but I think this is probably the closest I'm gonna get. Oh yeah, at one time I used to hide my bad grades that I got at school in a folder, and I would throw it behind this wardrobe. I don't know why I didn't just throw away my bad grades like at school or something. I decided that I had to keep them and then lock them away somewhere. But yeah, I remember one time my mom ended up finding them and I got in trouble because it looked like I was just getting terrible grades, but it was like, but these were like accumulating over months. It's not like I was getting nothing but bad grades. Just whenever I would get something that wasn't even that good, I would just throw it in that folder. Like I was putting C's in there. Like it wasn't even all F's or anything. I was just being weird, honestly. All right, so this is not quite to scale. There's a little bit more room in here from what I remember. But like I said earlier, I'm going to have to just deal with the fact that nothing's going to be perfect. Okay, honestly, I feel like twin beds in The Sims look way smaller than they do in real life. I might switch this out for like a regular bed because this just looks tiny. Because my bed definitely took up more room than this. Like, even the toddler beds look wider than the twin beds. What's up with that? Like, I would rather sleep on this thing. All right, screw it. I'm just going to put in a big boy bed. I don't care. Although this actually looks way closer to what my brother's bed looks like, so maybe I'll use this one in here. There we go. I just felt like it felt weird with a tiny, skinny bed. It just made this room look depressing. You know what else is making it look depressing? The fact that there's no wallpaper. That's kind of an important feature to have. So let's throw that up. Now, I don't think my house had wallpaper, but it definitely had like a pattern on it. Not quite this grandma looking ish, but it definitely had like it had something to it. I don't really know how to explain it, but there was like a little pattern on it. It almost looked like little flowers, I think. Well. Look who we have here. No, I'm not going to add you to the game. You weren't even born yet. In fact, your great-great-grandparents probably weren't even born yet at this point. Okay, that's not quite what I meant by flowers. I think I'm just going to have to go with like a white look to it. Pure expression, maybe. All right, what do we think? This one or this one? Is there even a difference there? As a dude, I'm going to go ahead and say that there was zero difference between those two colors. All right, we'll go with this one for now. Although, is it just me or does that look kind of dirty? You know what? No, that's the pattern. It's not dirt. At least that's what I'll tell myself. All right, so I had a little nook thing over here. That's what that's called, right? A nook? I don't know. And I distinctly remember I had an Iron Man poster right here. Even though at the time I was not even allowed to watch Iron Man because it was too violent, I guess. Oh yeah, that's pretty close, right? You know, if I was like a super hardcore simmer, I'd get some like custom content that has where you can like upload your own images. But I am far too lazy to do that, if I'm being completely honest. Then I also had a Looney Tunes picture here. It was like an actual picture frame, something like this. Then I had a toy box here. It was like one of those Mattel toy boxes, so it kind of had this shape to it, although this one's a little more aesthetically pleasing, so maybe I'll go with that one. And let's get some carpet in here. I'm pretty sure there was carpet in the entire house. I feel like that's pretty close, but I feel like the carpet had almost like a yellow tint, not like that, but like a tan, like this, maybe more like this. Yeah, that looks pretty accurate. All right, then I had a sports poster behind my bed. We'll use this Pokemon ripoff, Walmart Pokemon, whatever you want to call that. We'll use that as our stand-in poster. And I had some other random crap hanging on the wall over here. Let's see, just like, you know what? Well, we'll throw this sports poster here since we couldn't use it here. So we'll throw that here, and you know, I think that's good enough. I had like my school class photo hanging here, I think, for whatever reason. Then I think I maybe had something on this wall. I mean, this room definitely needed posters because it kind of looks a little depressing. Listen, we had to keep our rooms pretty dang spotless, so there wasn't a lot of room to be leaving toys and stuff out. This closet, though, however, loaded with toys. In fact, some of those toys are now in that closet. Mostly Legos, because there's absolutely no way in hell I'm ever getting rid of Legos. Are you kidding me? Not accurate, but I'm going to pull this closet out a little bit just so it fills up a little bit more space. Just because it looks slightly in here, I think making this fill the room out a little bit more. Just looks a little bit better. Bin. I need some like boy bins. Yeah. Now let's just throw a simple shelf in here. Okay, a lot of these toys just look like baby toys, except for these action figures, I guess. I guess we can throw some of these up here. Can't intercept object. There's literally nothing anywhere close to this box. What do you mean intersect? This game just enjoys making me mad, doesn't it? Oh, great. Now I can't put a closet door here because there's a bin intersecting with the door. Why does this door need to be taking up that much space? Are we for real right now? You know, in what world does a door need this much clearance? I'm opening it outward. I don't need to push it in. Stupid Sims logic. All right, so I guess we can only put one bin of toys in our closet because the door can't open, so we can't put any more toys in there. Sorry. Sorry, little Walmart Thor. You can't play with any more toys. Oh, great. What's this intersecting with, huh? The ceiling? All right, so let's just go ahead and copy and paste this into my brother's room. We're going to spend very little time in here because who cares? I'm just kidding. Okay, so he had a closet here too. Something kind of like this here. That doesn't look anywhere close. Child's dresser. There we go. Not very many color options here. You know what? Maybe I should use this. Excuse me? Why is that the default size? Who's using this? All right, I changed my mind. We're getting rid of this thing. This thing sucks. We're using this one. Just kind of put some toy stuff up here. Sure, he was probably still playing with blocks when we lived here. Man, they really need to do something about how you put things on top of surfaces, because this is terrible. You like can't move anything around. All right, so I have a pretty decent memory, but I have no idea what he kept in this area of his room. So I guess we'll throw a dollhouse or something there. I mean, I was kind of joking around about the dollhouse, but I would actually play with that. That's pretty dope. Shrink it down a little bit though, because who the hell has a dollhouse that big? There we go, easy. I'm not gonna put any toys in his closet because I don't feel like messing around with this jankiness over here. I guess we can just copy and paste what I have. Okay, I should probably do my other brother's room too before I forget. So this came out about there. Yeah, and he had his closet here. So is there like those doors that you can like pull open? I don't think there is. Is there? Kind of like this, but this is gonna take up way too much space. We'll use this one. And I can see the sun is shining through this room, so I clearly did something stupid. So let's use the trace tool, or custom room tool. I think that usually fixes it, or not. Okay, I've tried fixing it and nothing's working, so I guess this house ain't getting a roof when I'm done. All right, so I know this room had the same carpet, but he had different wallpaper on his walls. Was this room green? I don't remember, but I know it had some like trim at the top. I feel like it was green. I might be misremembering, but I'm going to go with green. I mean, is there a better looking green though? Let's go with a little more of a subtle green though, because that's a little too much. Yeah, like something like that maybe. This actually came out here, and then he had like a dresser here. And this bed frame actually looks almost identical to the one he had. I just wish it was in a bigger bed. There we go. Except it looks like he's going to be stubbing his toe an awful lot in here. I guess we can bring this back a little bit. There we go. Something like this over here, except it was darker. I don't know. This dude was always rearranging his room. So this actually used to be here. I feel like I remember it being here most of the time. In fact, if we leave it over here, we can shrink the room back down a little bit, so it's a little bit more to scale. And this wallpaper actually sucks. We're gonna have to change that. Now that I think of it, blue seems a little more accurate, maybe. I might have to pull up a tutorial to fix the sun coming through the roof. Is it really that simple? Am I stupid? I'm so dumb. You know how many times I've had that problem? I'm deleting my channel. All right, that fixed everything but this little gap here. Maybe the custom room tool will work here. Okay, now there's floor in there, so maybe that'll work. There we go. Perfect. Now I feel like a real simmer now that I know that little trick that probably everybody else knows already. My little step got ruined from earlier. I don't remember what happened here. There we go. That's a little bit different than what I had earlier, but this is actually kind of more accurate. Can I not drag it this way? Alrighty then. All right, so let's get to detailing the rest of the house. So let's go ahead and let's throw the carpet in every room so this house looks a little less depressing when I look at it. Okay, so there was some like weird carpet going on over here. I think it was just like green or blue. It was like this color. And you know what? Can we put a closet door here? And then we can just make this look a little bit nicer. I don't know what all this crud going on over here is. I guess we can get rid of this wall and we can lower this foundation back down. Although there was a wall here. I don't know exactly how this looked. We'll just pretend like this is a support beam and it just needs to be here. Or, hear me out, we just do that, right? Now it looks a little less stupid. And you just pretend like this closet goes all the way into here too. Whatever, that's close enough. All right, so there'd be like a coat hanger thing here. This closet here was for games and like the vacuum. Is there vacuums in this game? Oh, just these type of vacuums. Nah, this ain't a real vacuum. We had one of those ones that had like, you put water underneath it and that's how it like sucks up dirt. Weird design, honestly. You know what, screw the vacuum, I don't want it. Party games, is there not like a pile of board game things in here? I could have swore there was like a board game like pile that used to be on here. Or am I just crazy? Oh, here we go again. The door is gonna intersect with these, isn't it? And I can't even put a board game on top of this shelf? What is wrong with this game? Man, oh man, I guess this is not gonna be accurate. So let's just throw this like board game thing here, and I guess we'll call it a day. You know, why does every door in this game open both ways? No door does that. Is there a way to change this to where it only opens one way so I don't have to worry about this intersecting? About to make me mad. All right, so we kind of have a little bit of the house decorated. I'll probably come back through and change the wallpaper or the carpet because I'm a little iffy on it. But for now, it's fine. Now, I do remember the bathroom kind of having that grandma house look to it. There's not that many good options on here, truthfully. You know what? This one looks pretty good. I don't think it's accurate, but I do remember there being something similar. So there was a mirror here. Let's go with this one. I think this one's better. So this area right here is probably going to be the hardest because it was just kind of a wide open area. Wasn't really used for much, I don't think. Which was kind of nice because when we decorated for Christmas, we would just basically take wherever we were putting the Christmas tree, we would just throw it over here. What the hell was I doing over here? This is stupid. All right, let's not get too far ahead of myself. Let's get back to work over here. I feel like this needs to come in. Maybe it was level with the bathroom. I don't really remember. Yeah, that's looking a little less crazy. Okay, I'm not even going to touch this for now. This is just kind of one of those rooms that you detail later. So let's actually focus on the kitchen. So we need some linoleum floor. Well, these don't look very good. Maybe I'll use something different. These are some pretty terrible options on here, I ain't gonna lie. Like, what is this? Yeah, these look terrible. I'm just gonna use a wood finish, honestly, because it just looks better. That other stuff I was using just looked like crap. So I'm not touching it. So, all right, so whatever I was doing with this island thing, I'm going to just kind of give up because there's no way I'm going to get it to look how it actually looks in real life. And this living room needs to be shrunk way down. This is way too big. Man, was I drunk earlier? What kind of furniture was I picking? All right, so there's a doorway here. I feel like all this was closer to, which means this kitchen needs to be definitely readjusted a little bit. I think I kind of made it too big. There we go. This is coming together a lot better. This is why I don't like to start with a shell because I just make things way too big and then I have to end up fixing them later. It's just easier for me to work as I go. All right, so then there's a door here. I don't know why I always just use the same door. These doors don't even look remotely accurate. Although this door right here, there was a door to exit the house that kind of looked exactly like that, so I'm going to use that here. And this is the laundry room. I think I said it was a pantry earlier. We didn't put any food in here. Well, I guess we kind of did. We had like shelves here that were kind of used for it, but not really. All right, and then we'll throw some shells up here. Change the color of these because that is atrocious. It's pretty good. Is there a water heater in this game? Didn't they add that? They sure did. Call me crazy, but I'm pretty sure there was a water heater in here. Okay, so back to the living room. What the hell's going on here? This thing has to touch the wall. That's why, because I want to pull this thing out a little bit so I can put the bigger TV, but I don't think I can. Well, this kind of sucks, but I don't know what I'm supposed to do about this. All right, I'm just kidding. I found one that's way better. All right, so it's going to stick out a little bit, but it honestly looks kind of good, in my opinion. There you go. That's retro, baby. Although, this needs to be gray. All right, I think this is coming together pretty good. In terms of scaling, I think things are finally starting to look a little more accurate. I really need to find better furniture, though, because I don't know what the hell's going on here. This is This is terrible. Okay, I like this couch. I think the distance is good. Now we need to find furniture that kind of matches this, that doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. There we go. We'll use this one here, and we'll get rid of this, even though it's the right color. I think the furniture should at least look like it's coherent. All right, let's finish up the kitchen here. Let's get a fridge. Just kind of your standard fridge, nothing too crazy here. Okay, I don't remember exactly what this area looked like. This is probably going to be a little inaccurate because I don't think there was these over here. I just realized I didn't even have move objects on, so I might have to revisit some stuff that I've done for obvious reasons, because what kind of idiot doesn't play with that turned on? And right here was like a cupboard. Is there like a kitchen cupboard? I don't think there's going to be one of those in here, is there? Wait a minute here. Double tile. Okay, that's what I was looking for. Wait a minute. This was here. I don't think there was one of these because this was where the microwave was. This was here. And now this is a little less goofy. I'm pretty sure this was all cabinets here. Part of me almost thinks that right here comes in and then like this wall can shift over one, which I might do just because I feel like, yeah, this stuff should all be here. Yeah, there should only be like one cabinet area here, which means this can come out one more here. And there should be cabinets up here, but apparently cabinets can only be attached to walls. Wait, just kidding. It's about time. I was struggling to figure out how to do this earlier, so thank goodness. You know what, though? I don't like these. I'm going to try to use these ones instead, if it'll let me. Now, this is kind of janky as heck, but whatever works, I guess. Wow, that looks great. Isn't it kind of crazy how you have to actually break the game a little bit to get things to look like how they do in real life? There we go. That's better. And I feel like there was a wall here. For whatever reason, that seems accurate. Okay, so I think we're about ready to start working on the bedroom, the master bedroom over here. Okay, so we need a door here, obviously. All right, so this is a closet, and then I'm not sure what's going on over here. I don't remember doing this. Okay, something ain't adding up here because... So this is like the attached bathroom, but it was definitely not this big, obviously. I think we're just going to have to pull this all way closer in. All right, let's do our little roof trick here, or ceiling trick. Yeah, literally most of this house just did not have a ceiling because I keep going back and readjusting things that's messing it up. Something got messed up over here. I'm not sure what the... You know what? I took a little break and I didn't turn back on move object. That's probably what the problem is. Which honestly, can they just make it to where that's just always on? Who's not using that cheat? Okay, so let's grab a big bed. Looks pretty good. Then a couple nightstands. Now let's get a dresser. Something kind of like this, maybe. I don't like the look of that one, though. Actually, this might be closer. Yeah, we'll go with that. And I distinctly remember there being an alarm clock sitting on top of this because when my parents used to make me take naps in here, I would just stare at the clock the whole time because I didn't want to take a nap. Okay, and then I believe there was another dresser over here like that. And then there was a desk. I think it was kind of this look. I don't know if I'm going to be able to put a computer on top of this, though. You know what? I'll go with this one. All right, so my parents put the computer in their room because they didn't want us kids getting on it in the middle of the night or whatever. So if we wanted to play on the computer, we had to do it in our parents' bedroom. So, I mean, that's a little weird because who wants to play video games in front of their parents, especially when you're trying to play something that's incredibly violent and you don't want them to find out about it. Then we had another window here. There we go. I'm definitely going to have to change the walls because this just does not look good. But for now, I'll just get all the rooms mostly decorated and then I'll go back through and start redetailing some certain things. Probably most things, if I'm being honest. Okay, so this definitely seems a little too big, so let's drag this in a couple spaces. And while I'm out here, I'm going to go ahead and just throw on the siding. Just your typical standard white siding. Actually, do they have a more white one? I think this is closer. Yeah, there we go. And then we'll go into the bathroom here. So the bathroom in here was also linoleum. I guess I'll just use the same wooden floor I use because I don't want to use the actual linoleum. Okay, I hate how this picture looks like that, but then when you put it down, it's a bunch of squares. That's very misleading. I mean, the one next to it has the look we need, but it only has 2 different options. Yeah, I mean, maybe I'll find something a little bit better later, but for now, that's gonna have to do. Let's go toilet here. Now, I don't know if they're gonna have the type of bathtub. So it was like one of these, not quite this look. It was almost like a, I don't even really know how to explain it. If I find a picture of it or something, I'll put it in the video, but it was like, there was almost like a counter surrounding it. I don't really know. Although maybe I'll go with this one just because it's bigger. Okay, so then we have like the double cabinets. Actually, to get this to look accurate, we're gonna have to build, and then maybe, I don't know, this might get messed up. There was like a big cabinet thing here. I don't know. Whoops. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to replicate it though. You know what? There might be a bathroom decoration that looks like it. Here we go. Do a little bit of finagling here to get this to look better. So this kind of looks good. I need to probably do this a couple more times. Okay, so this is starting to come together pretty well. So what this was just a really deep like cupboard. This is where we put like towels and toilet paper stuff. We'll switch these all to this light color. Not the greatest color options, but it'll have to do. And you know what, actually, this needs to come over because there's a shower here, but the walls actually kind of came out and covered it like this. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to just mess up everything I just did. Unfortunately, I don't think this is going to look as good as I had it earlier because I've had to, the front of these do not mix well. So I guess I just won't make it as thick. So maybe what it was is that this comes out a little bit. And then these go in here. And my water heater got ruined. What the heck? There we go. Maybe this was here. I don't really remember. Probably not. But you know what? I'll take some creative liberties. All right, and there we go. That's pretty much all the stuff put down. Now I just need to kind of come through here with a fine comb and kind of clean things up a little bit. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. All right, so I'm gonna really need to look through these wall patterns to see if I can find something better because I don't know. I feel like I'm really lazy when it comes to picking like wallpaper or what carpet to use. And I also don't think his room was blue. I've changed this color 3 times now. I mean, I do know it had paneling up here, so I'll do this like kind of grayish look. Okay, I may have found something that's pretty close to what I was looking for. I feel like this is kind of as close as I'm gonna get to what I was looking for. Because like I said, there was like this little flower pattern. So far, this is as close as I've come to finding something like that. Like it was a little bit more subtle. But yeah, there's just not a lot of other great options on here that I'm gonna be happy with. Maybe if there was something that had this kind of texture to it without the flowers, I would take that. So I think I'm just gonna stick with the plain white paint. I did find a nicer looking one because this one right here just looks kind of dirty. All right, so let me see if I can find a better carpet. I feel like the yellow tint just looks a little eh. But then again, going as a lighter color is not very good either. I mean, I think it's closer, but honestly, they just don't really make carpet look that good in The Sims. Maybe it's the lighting because these are all white lights. If they were yellow, it'd maybe like make the carpets look a little nicer. This is a really random detail, but I do remember the thermostat was here. All right, let's get the table set up as well. I don't know. The chairs are pretty accurate. The table, not so much. I'm not really happy with, honestly, very many of the tables on here. Okay, I've changed my mind. I dislike this table so much, I've decided to just do this instead. This table should be round, but you know what? I'd rather have it look nice than be 100% accurate. Okay, this actually maybe looks better. And I don't know, I'm getting real picky because this has to look terrible. Like the carpet and wall combination, sickening. You know what? The white carpet's just not it. We got to go back to like a tan color. You know, maybe I should put up that grandma looking wallpaper I was talking about earlier because at least it adds a little bit of variety to the nasty color scheme we got going on here. Listen, I don't usually struggle this much. It's just when I'm trying to replicate how something looks, I tend to struggle a little bit more, but at least from a distance, I feel like it looks more textured. It looks a little less goofy. Let me get rid of the ceiling lights. Maybe that's what's making it look so bad. That's a good excuse, right? Just blame the ceiling light. I mean, it is kind of true though. Some of the lighting in this game looks terrible. There we go. I feel like that looks a little less stupid. So I finally fixed the TV because when I placed it down earlier, I did not have move objects turned on. So now it can be flush with this. Let's see. Let's sit on this chair here and see if this seems accurate. Yeah, that looks pretty good to scale. All right, let's find a better front door. I guess I'll go with this one just because it's one of the few that I think looks good as like an outside door. Although we should probably put the flowers on the outside. There we go. And just looking at this place, you can tell that I'm an amateur builder because of how little detail there is. Like, I'm not very good at cluttering. So that's kind of what I'm trying to do now. Just trying to make the house look lived in. But I do remember it being pretty dang clean. My mom was a stay-at-home mom, so she kept the house pretty dang tidy. Like, honestly, I probably would do a better job if I made this in The Sims 2, because that's roughly the era that this is taking place in. I mean, we eventually did get like a whole new living room set, but this is the more nostalgia setup that I remember. All right, so there wasn't a grandfather clock in this house, but I feel like this is as close as we're gonna get to what was actually here. It was like one of those. It was like a glass display case, which, you know what, there might actually be one on here. I guess this is better. And you know what? This is way better for this bathroom too, but I don't know if I want to mess with this anymore. I'll throw it there just in case. But yeah, so that's there. All right, so these kind of lights were in most rooms, and I do have to say the yellow light actually does make this look a little better. I think the bright white light from these lights make the house just look really sterile. So I'm going to get rid of all of those. And I don't know if there was any ceiling lights anywhere else. There was a chandelier here in the kitchen. Nothing crazy like this. It was just like one of those dangly lights. I don't even think you probably consider those chandeliers. Like one of these things. All right, let's go out to the garage. I know I'm bouncing around a lot, but it's just because I keep noticing things that I forgot. All right, so there's that gym equipment stuff out here. There was also a back door. There's one there, and then there was one here. Here's another really random detail. We used to have just a ton of shoes lining up this wall out here, which it's kind of amazing that we never had spiders in our shoes. All right, so let's move these cars over a little bit, and we got a toolbox over here. I could have swore there was better toolboxes in the restoration workshop kit. Yeah, that's what I thought. Guess we'll copy this flooring too. That looks more like garage floor. There we go. This is coming together pretty nice. I feel like there might have been shelves over here somewhere. I know there was like a toy box out here, like a giant storage bin. Here we go. That's pretty dang close. That's where all of our like outside toys and stuff were at. Then, like I said earlier, there's a chest freezer out here, which we might be able to make like a makeshift looking one. There we go. That's pretty good. Oh yeah, so I'm definitely gonna have to probably pull up a tutorial on like a makeshift garage door. Although I suppose I could just throw this down. That looks pretty close to a garage door. Just for consistency's sake, I'm gonna just reuse these windows, even though I said they're too big earlier. But I don't like having too many different variations of windows. I think it just looks a little too goofy. No windows in this bathroom. There was like a sky window above this bath, but there's no way I'm going to try to replicate that. All right, so there was bushes in between all these windows here. Again, I apologize. This is probably the most like all over the place build video ever, but this is also the only build video on my channel. So I've built a few times in the past, but nothing quite to this depth. Like when I was doing a rags to riches, I was building as I was earning money, so that was a little bit easier. All right, so let's throw down the driveway. Not exactly to scale, but you know what? Nothing ever is in this game, so we're gonna just go with that for now. All right, and we'll throw this here because there was like a mini garden here, pretty close. Oh yeah, we can't forget this detail. Basketball hoop here. I think that's pretty good for now. I'm not a huge fan of the pavement option that I chose. Yeah, I think this is better. It just looks a little less flat looking. I wish there was like a dirt option here because there's the mulch. Okay, so in the terrain stuff, that's how you get dirt. Okay. Yeah, I've never done any terraining in my life other than in The Sims 1. So this ought to be Interesting. I'm just going to turn this all into dirt. Oh, whoops. Well, that was unintentional. I think I made my brush a little too big. All right, and I thinned the pathway out a little bit too, just because it's a little more accurate. All right, and I think there was a giant bush here. Okay, so I did look up a little tutorial to make the garage door look a little less stupid than what I've done. You know what? This one's pretty good. Okay, ideally, I would like some sort of like border around the garage door, but I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure that out just because. Okay, so I guess people use pillars to kind of give their garage a border. So we'll throw those on both sides. And you know what? I think this paneling actually looks way better. Yeah, we're going to go with that. And I know there's windows that you can put on here as well to kind of make it look good. Maybe these ones? There we go. And now it's time to put the roof on, which is just going to be, this is about to be the ugliest part of the video, probably. I don't know. I feel like I've gotten a little bit better with my roof building. All right, I can already tell you that this actually came out to here because I remember the roof just going all the way to the back. So that'll make doing this a little bit easier. And as much as I hate to do this, I'm pretty sure this was all straight. I don't think there was a curve here, which means either I pulled this wall out, which will probably be easier. Yeah, because I don't want to break a bunch of stuff in the kids' rooms. Yeah, okay, so there was no reason for me to complain about the roof. This is actually about to be wildly easy. Hide this piece inside of here. Yeah, there we go. You see that? Just build all of your houses in an L shape and it makes it incredibly easy to build the roof. I will bring it down a little bit though, because this looks a little too high. There we go. I'm gonna put some siding up here. I'm gonna come in here and change the entertainment center's color. And I think we're about done here. I'm gonna try this thing out that I found to make the carpet look a little less stupid. Okay, hold up. This might be the greatest thing I've ever found. So if you have the Get to Work pack, there's a fence on here that's literally just like, it just sticks on the ground like this. So if you want to ever divide up the carpet in your house, this is the way to do it. Yeah, just throw down a wall first and then go to your fence, throw this down. There you go. It doesn't look like crap anymore. I think that's okay because there's not actually a divider there. It was just like the carpet cut off there. So if it kind of blends with the carpet, I'm okay with it. There we go. We did it here too. Let's see if I can put the wall back up here. Okay, I don't think the trick's really gonna work over here. You know what? If I just get rid of the doorway and just leave it like an opening like this, maybe I'll get away with it. There we go. I did a little bit of a workaround. Although I don't love that this isn't a doorway, but... Okay, so starting this game without move objects actually is way worse than I thought it was because, yeah, a bunch of my stuff keeps getting broken. Okay, I know I mentioned something about this shed earlier, but I can already tell you, I ain't doing that. This video is already probably gonna be almost an hour long. And knowing me, trying to build a simple little shed would probably take an hour. All right, so I put the kitchen floor in this bathroom, or both bathrooms actually, because I think that's as close as we're gonna get to the linoleum that we had. Okay, so I think I'm about done. This isn't as detailed as I'd probably like to make it. As sad as it is to say, this video took me about 2 to 3 weeks to make. Yeah, building is not my strong suit, and even though this looks pretty bare bones, this did take me a long time, mostly just figuring out how to scale it and, you know, figuring out dimensions and stuff. But I think I did a solid enough job. I mean, it was a pretty simple and basic house. It wasn't anything crazy. So yeah, this video took a lot longer than I expected it to, and if you're wondering why it took me so long to make, here's the answer right here. What do you think, huh? Does it suck? This is where I lived when I was your age. Yeah, I know. But anyway, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Most of the videos that I typically do are challenge videos. I'm currently doing the Black Widow challenge right now, so if you want to see a more unhinged side of me, that's the place to be. Or you can check out my OG series where I did Rags to Riches. There you can watch me kind of learn how to play The Sims because I completely sucked at it, and I still kind of do. But anyway, I think that's going to be it for today. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you want to help support the channel, you can become a member. This will give you early access to new videos. Also, don't forget to use my creator code WalmartThor on the EA store if you want to help support me that way as well. That's going to about do it for me today, and I will see you all in the next video.